Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling the Scaffold widget in Flutter.
Oh, yeah.
You know that framework by Google that lets you build apps for like any device? It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's become pretty popular lately for its cross-platform capabilities and efficiency.
For sure. And the Scaffold widget is kind of like the unsung hero, I think, of a lot of Flutter apps.
Yeah.
It's like the foundation, the structure, the thing that makes your app really feel like an app. We've got this great article here called Exploring the Scaffold Widget in Flutter, your canvas for creating spectacular applications. And we're going to break it down for you.
Cool.
So you can use the scaffold like a pro.
One thing I think that tends to surprise people is just how much the Scaffold widget actually handles behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like you could build a UI without it,
Right.
but it would be a lot more work.
Right.
The Scaffold just makes things so much easier.
Right. It's like having a pre-built frame for a house.
Yeah.
You know, you could build a house without a frame.
You could.
But
yeah, it's not advised.
it's going to be a lot harder and it might not be as stable.
Exactly. So to really understand the Scaffold, you kind of need to break it down by its key components.
Okay.
Think of it as a collection of building blocks that you arrange and customize to create your app's layout.
Okay, so walk us through these building blocks.
Okay.
What are the essential parts of a scaffold?
All right. Well, first off, you've got the AppBar, which sits at the top of the screen. Think of it as the header for your app.
Got it.
It typically contains the app title, maybe some action buttons.
Got it. So the app bar kind of sets the stage. What
Yeah.
else?
Then you have the body, which is kind of the main content area of your app.
Yeah.
This is really where all the action happens.
Yeah.
Think of it as like the blank canvas where you paint your app's UI.
So the body's where all the cool stuff goes.
Exactly. Now, for a little bit of visual flair and quick actions, you've got the floating action button,
Okay.
or FAB as it's often called.
Got it.
This is typically a circular button that floats above the other content,
Yeah.
and it's often used for like primary actions like adding a new item or taking a photo.
I like it. It's like the hero button, always ready for action.
Precisely.
Okay.
And then you have the drawer, which is a slide-out menu that can be used for navigation or other actions.
Okay.
Think of it kind of like as a hidden compartment
Ooh, the drawer. I love a good hidden compartment.
where you can store additional options or settings.
I like it.
And finally, you have the bottom navigation bar.
Okay.
This is a bar that sits at the bottom of the screen
Yeah.
and allows users to easily switch between different sections or views within the app.
Okay. So I think I'm starting to get a clear picture here.
Yeah.
We've got the app bar at the top.
Yep.
The body in the middle, the floating action button just kind of floating around,
Floating around, doing its thing.
the drawer tucked away on the side,
Yeah.
and the bottom navigation bar keeping things grounded at the bottom.
That's a great way to visualize it. And what's really cool is each of these components is you can customize it a lot.
Oh, wow.
You can change their appearance, add different widgets to them,
Okay.
and even animate them.
So it's not just a rigid structure, but more of a flexible framework that you can kind of adapt to what you need.
Exactly. So let's dive into some specific examples to
Okay.
see how these components actually work in practice.
All right.
Shall we start with the app bar?
Absolutely. App bar seems like a good place to start.
Okay, so imagine a simple app bar with just a title and an action button.
Okay.
Here's how you would code that.
Right.
App bar, title, text, my app, actions, 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 icon, icons on shade, on pressed, unpressed, 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 unpressed,
That's
unpressed.
straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, so we're creating an app bar widget,
Yep.
setting the title to my app, and then adding an icon button with a settings icon.
Yep.
And when the user taps that icon, the code inside on pressed will be executed. Precisely. And that's just a basic example. You can add all sorts of other widgets to the app bar, like search bars, navigation icons, you name it.
Got it. So the app bar is all about providing context and actions for the user.
Yeah.
What about the body? What kind of things can we put in there?
The body is incredibly flexible.
Okay.
It can contain pretty much any widget that you can think of.
Wow.
For a simple example, let's just put some text in the center of the screen.
Okay.
Center child text, hello world child.
There you go.
So we're using a center widget
Yep.
to center the text horizontally. And the text itself is simply hello world, straightforward enough.
And you can build upon that.
Okay.
You could add images, lists, buttons, forms,
Wow.
even other scaffolds within the body.
Really?
It's all about creating the user interface that you want.
Okay, this is getting exciting.
Yeah.
We've got the app bar, setting the scene. The body is our playground for content. But what about the floating action button?
Yeah.
How do we bring that into play?
So let's add a floating action button to our example.
Okay.
Typically, it would be used for a prominent action. So let's say it's like an add icon.
Okay.
Floating action button on pressed, code to add something. On pressed, icon, icons.add, child.
All right, so we create a floating action button widget.
Yep.
Define what happens when it's pressed with on pressed. And then use an icon widget to display the add icon.
Right.
Nice.
And the scaffold will automatically position this button in a visually prominent way, usually in like the bottom right corner of the screen.
Got it. Now, what about the drawer? How do we create one of those slick slide-out menus?
All right, let's add a simple drawer to our example.
Okay.
We'll just include a header and a couple of list items for now. Drawer child. Drawer child. List view padding. Edge insets.0. Children. Children. Drawer header. Box decoration. Colors. Colors.blue. Color. Text child. Menu style. Text.color. Colors.white. Font size. 24. Font size. Font size. List tile. Leading. List tile. Leading. Icons.settings. Leading. Icons settings style. List title. On tap.
Boom.
Okay, this is a bit more complex.
It is a little bit more involved.
But I can see what's going on.
Yeah.
We're creating a drawer widget with a list view inside.
Yep.
The drawer header provides like a nice visual header for the menu.
It does.
And then we have two list tile widgets, each with an icon and a text label.
Right.
And when the user taps on a list tile, the code inside on tap will be executed.
You nailed it. The drawer provides a great way to organize like additional options or navigation within your app.
Nice. And lastly, the bottom navigation bar.
Okay.
How do we add one of those to our scaffold?
Let's create a simple bottom navigation bar with 3 tabs.
Okay.
Each tab will have an icon and a label.
Got it.
Bottom navigation bottoms, const bottom navigation bar at icon, icons.home, icon label, bottom navigation bottom, icons.business, business label, navigation bottom, icons.business.label.
Yes, it's the label.
Bottom navigation bottom, icons.label, label, civil edits, to switch to different tabs.
Okay, so we create a bottom navigation bar widget.
Yep.
Define the individual tabs using bottom navigation bar item widgets.
Right.
And then use the on-tap callback to handle what happens when a tab is selected.
Exactly. The index parameter in OnTap tells you which tab was tapped.
Okay.
So you can use that to switch to the corresponding content within your app.
This is incredible. We've now seen how to add all the core components of a scaffold to our app. But before we move on, I want to emphasize that this is just a starting point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You can customize each of these components in so many ways.
Absolutely.
And we've really only just scratched the surface here.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
I'm ready for more.
I know, it's exciting stuff.
But for now, we'll wrap up part 1 of our deep dive.
Right.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore navigation and other cool things you can do with the scaffold.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be awesome. Right, see you in part 2.
Welcome back to our Flutter Scaffold extravaganza. Last time we kind of laid the groundwork, explored the core components, and even saw some code examples.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty good about my scaffold knowledge so far.
You should. You've got a solid grasp of the basics.
Okay.
But the scaffold has even more to offer.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to navigation.
Oh, yeah, navigation. That's a big one.
It is.
How does the scaffold help us move between different screens in our app?
Well, you could think of the scaffold as kind of like the stage manager.
Okay. For your app screens. It doesn't just provide the structure.
Right.
It also helps manage how those screens appear, disappear, and transition smoothly.
Okay, so it's not just about the visual layout, but also the flow of the user experience.
Exactly. And Flutter provides this really powerful routing mechanism that works behind the scenes to handle the navigation. And the scaffold integrates with it seamlessly.
Routing mechanism, huh? That sounds a bit technical.
Can be a little bit.
Can you break that down for us non-technical folks?
Sure. Imagine each screen in your app has a unique address, like a house on a street.
Yeah.
These addresses are called routes.
Okay.
When a user, say, taps a button or selects a menu item that should take them to a different screen, Flutter uses these routes to figure out which screen to show.
Okay, so routes are like the map of our app.
Yeah.
And Flutter uses that map to navigate between screens.
Exactly. And the scaffold kind of acts as a guide, making sure the transitions between those screens are smooth and feel natural to the user.
Yeah.
It's like the choreographer of the app.
I like that.
Ensuring the dance between screens is elegant and effortless.
It's a good analogy.
Thanks.
So how do we actually create these routes? Like, how do we tell Flutter how to use them?
Well, Flutter offers different types of routes
Okay.
for different navigation scenarios.
Okay.
The most common types are named routes, push routes, and pop routes.
Okay, let's break those down.
Okay.
What are named routes all about?
Named routes are perfect for navigating to specific key screens in your app.
Okay.
Think like the settings screen or profile page.
Yeah.
You give each of these screens a unique name,
Uh-huh.
and then Flutter can easily find and display them using those names.
So it's like giving each screen a label so we can easily refer to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's a quick example of how to define named routes in your app.
Okay. Material app,
Yeah.
initial route,
Yep.
home screen, settings screen.
Straightforward.
Okay, so we're using material app.
Yeah, which is like the root of our Flutter app.
Got it.
We set the initial route to a key, which means that's the first screen the user sees.
Makes sense.
And then in routes, we're mapping route names and settings to specific screens,
Okay.
like home screen and settings screen.
Got it. So far, so good.
Now, to actually navigate to a named route, you'd use navigator.pushNamed.
Okay.
Let's say you want to go to the settings screen
Yep.
from your home screen.
Okay.
You do something like this. Navigator.pushNamed. Context settings. Easy.
So navigator.pushNamed is like saying, hey, Flutter, take me to the screen with this name.
Exactly. It's very simple and efficient.
Nice. Okay.
Now, what about those other route types you mentioned? Push routes and pop routes.
Yeah, what are those all about? When would we use them?
So push routes are great for navigating to new screens that are kind of added on top of the navigation stack.
Okay.
Think of it like a stack of cards. Each new screen is placed on top of the previous one.
So each new screen is like adding a card to the top of the stack.
Exactly. This is useful when you have like a sequence of screens, like say in an e-commerce app.
Okay.
You might go from browsing products to viewing a specific product to adding it to your cart to check out.
Yeah.
Each of those steps could be a separate screen pushed onto the navigation stack.
So the user can easily go back to the previous screen by essentially removing the top card from the stack.
Precisely. And that's where pop routes come in.
Okay.
Navigator.pop is used to go back to the previous screen by removing the current screen from that stack.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Push routes for adding screens, pop routes for going back.
Exactly.
Nice and straightforward.
It is.
But how do we actually code this push and pop functionality?
Okay, here's an example of how you'd use navigator.push to navigate to like a product details screen, assuming you have a variable called product data that holds the information about the product.
Okay. Navigator.push.context. Material page read. Product details screen. Product.builder.builder.build.builder.bot cost.
Okay.
Okay, so we're using navigator.push to push a new route onto the navigation stack. And we're creating that new route using material page route, which takes a builder function that creates the actual screen widget.
Correct.
In this case, it's the product details screen. And we're passing the product data to the product details screen.
Yes.
So it can display the right information.
You got it.
Okay.
And to go back to the previous screen, you'd simply use...
Okay. Navigator.pop context.
Simple.
Simple as that. Pop goes the screen. I'm really starting to see how this all fits together now.
Yeah.
The scaffold provides the structure.
Yeah.
The routing system handles the navigation between screens. And we can use different types of routes depending on how we want our app to flow.
It all works together beautifully.
It's like a well-choreographed dance.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the beauty of it all is that Flutter makes it surprisingly easy to implement.
This is awesome. I'm feeling much more confident about navigation now.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
But there's one more thing I'm kind of curious about.
Okay.
We've talked about buttons and menus for navigation.
Right.
But what about other types of user interactions, like gestures,
Right.
Can the scaffold handle those too?
That's a great question, and the answer is a resounding yes.
Okay, cool.
The scaffold provides a framework for capturing and responding to a wide range of user interactions.
Okay.
Not just button presses and menu selections.
Got it.
We'll dive into that in our next segment.
Okay, sounds good.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our Flutter Scaffold deep dive. I feel like we've covered so much ground already.
We have.
But I know there's still more to learn.
There is, yeah, you're right. We've talked about like the core components in navigation.
Right.
But there are still some, I guess you could say gems hidden within the scaffold.
Ooh, hidden gems. I love those.
That can really enhance your app's user experience.
Okay, what kind of gems are we talking about?
Well, let's talk about a simple yet powerful way to provide feedback to users. Snack bars.
Snack bars. I've definitely seen those in other apps.
Yeah.
They're those little messages that pop up kind of at the bottom of the screen.
Exactly. They're perfect for displaying like a brief, non-intrusive notification.
Okay.
Think of it as like a quick, hey, this thing happened, without interrupting the user's flow.
Okay, so like a confirmation message when you save something, or like a quick alert if something goes wrong.
Exactly. And the Scaffold makes it incredibly easy to work with snack bars.
Okay.
It handles all the complexities behind the scenes, making sure that they appear and disappear gracefully.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Show me how it's done.
All right, let's say you have a button that when pressed should save some data and then display a snack bar confirming the save. Here's how you would do that. Scaffold, AppBar, center, title, sender, body, elevated button on pressed, code to save data on pressed, final snack bar tethering content, scaffold messenger.content on pressed, snack bar person data saved successfully, content, scaffold messenger dot content, teacher, ladeffold messenger dot child.
So, okay, so we have our elevated button that triggers the save action.
Right.
Then we create a snack bar with the message we want to display.
Yep.
But what's this scaffold messenger thing?
That's the magic ingredient.
Okay.
Scaffold Messenger is a class that's built into the Scaffold.
Got it.
And it's responsible for managing the snack bars and other like similar messages within the Scaffold.
So it's like a messenger that delivers the snack bar to the screen.
Precisely. It takes care of all the details, like positioning the snack bar, animating it, and making sure it disappears after a few seconds.
Very cool. So the Scaffold is handling all that complexity for us.
It is, yeah.
Nice. But what if we need something a bit more interactive?
Okay.
Like, what if we need the user to, like, confirm an action before we do something that's maybe potentially destructive?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's where dialogues come in.
Dialogues.
Flutter has a whole set of dialogue widgets that I can use, and they work really well within the Scaffold structure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these dialogues.
All right, so one of the most common dialogues is the alert dialogue.
Okay.
It's perfect for situations where you need to get a confirmation from the user before proceeding with an action.
Like if you want to make sure the user really wants to delete something before you go ahead and like delete it permanently.
Exactly. So let's see how we would use an alert dialogue for that. Scaffold.title. Scaffold, body center, elevated title, scaffold bottle, dialogue title, text elevated dialogue, bot title, div alert title, building, build context, builder.title. Build context. Baffled. Elevated build bot context title. Builder.title. Build context vital title. On repressed. On pressed. Navigator.of-context.pressed. Text confirm delete child. Text dialogue on pressed. Close the dialogue. On pressed. Text pyrog. On pressed. Close the dialogue. On pressed. On pressed. On pressed. Child. Text delete item. Child.
Okay, so we're creating an elevated button labeled delete item that when pressed will trigger the dialogue.
Right.
And we're using show dialogue to actually display the dialogue.
That's right. And within show dialogue, we're creating an alert dialogue widget with a title, a message, and 2 buttons, cancel and delete.
So the user can either cancel the action or confirm the deletion.
Yep.
And we're using navigator.ofcontext.pop to close the dialogue in both cases.
You got it. That's how you create a basic confirmation dialogue using an alert dialogue.
Very cool. Are there other types of dialogues besides alert dialogue?
Absolutely. Flutter offers a variety of dialogue widgets to suit different needs. You have simple dialogue for presenting like a list of options.
Right.
Bottom sheet for displaying content that slides up from the bottom of the screen, and even like a pre-built about dialogue for displaying information about your app.
Wow, Flutter really has a dialogue for every occasion.
It does. It's like a dialogue buffet.
I like that, a dialogue buffet.
Yeah, and the great thing is all these dialogues work seamlessly within the Scaffold, making it really easy to incorporate them into your app's UI.
We've covered so much in this deep dive.
We have.
The core components of the Scaffold: navigation, gestures, snack bars, and dialogues.
I'm tired.
It's incredible how much you can accomplish with just this one widget.
It really is. It's a testament to how well designed Flutter is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very inspired to start building my own Flutter apps now.
That's the goal.
It is the goal.
To inspire.
Yeah, to inspire.
Get people excited about Flutter.
Exactly, exactly. But before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom for our fellow Flutter enthusiasts out there?
I would say embrace the power of experimentation.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to try new things,
Uh-huh.
explore different scaffold components, and push the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah,
The scaffold is really just a blank canvas waiting for your creativity.
that's a great way to put it. A blank canvas for building amazing things. Well, on that inspiring note,
Yes.
we have reached the end of our deep dive into Flutter's Scaffold widget.
Sad to see it go.
I know, I know.
But it was a good run.
It was a good run.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed the journey and learned a ton along the way.
Absolutely.
Happy fluttering, everyone.